I'm Vinnie Politan. The subject of my investigation is a 13-year-old girl from Central Florida named Madeline Soto. Madeline was able to smile at times during her life despite some horrible things that happened to her while she was living. Madeline Soto is someone who didn't necessarily get justice while she was living, but clearly deserves justice now. Here's her story. February 25th was Madeline Soto's 13th birthday party, a big day in any child's life, celebrating the end of one phase and the start of the next, the teen years. But tragically for Madeline, this was not the beginning of her teen years, it was the end of her life. She was reported missing the next day by her mother, Jenn, and investigators believe she was already dead. They say her killer is Stephan Stearns, Jenn's live-in boyfriend. But Stearns is claiming his innocence and has his own version of what happened. He says he dropped Madeline off near a church near her school in the morning, a story Jenn repeated to police and to the public in TV interviews. That interview has many people questioning Jenn's actions and the nature of her relationship with her daughter's accused killer, who is also accused of sexually abusing Madeline for years and recording those images on his phone. This is a story with many still unanswered questions. We'll take a closer look as we investigate the tragic life and death of Madeline Soto. Stephan Stearns came into Madeline Soto's life as her mom's boyfriend, and he was the on-again, off-again boyfriend. Sometimes he was there, then he would leave, he would come back. But it seemed like the reason he kept coming back was not necessarily for Jenn Soto, but was for Madeline Soto. Now, he's claiming his innocence in all of this, and on the day that Madeline went missing, he has his own version of what actually happened, what he did, and the last time that he saw Madeline. Let's take a look.
I dropped her off. Everything looked fine when I drove away. So last time we saw her, she was asleep for most of the way. Told her have a good day at school when she got out, and I love her. She said, thanks, love you too. That was it. I dropped her off early. I could have waited longer. She looked okay. She was walking towards the school when I saw her. It was like any other day, so I went on with my day. It's hard not to blame myself. This is not normal behavior. She's not the type that would just run off. We don't know where she can be, and we're scared. We just want her home.
That interview with WFTV, who's done amazing work on this story, was while she was still missing. A few days later, her body is found, and the whole thing changed. Stephan Stearns has now been charged with that murder. Obviously, investigators don't believe his story, but that brings me to my first question, which is about that story. Does Stephan Stearns' story make sense? Just because investigators don't believe it doesn't mean that a jury might think it's a reasonable explanation for what happened that day. So let's bring in my special guest to answer this question. Joining us from Orlando, Florida, jury consultant and, importantly, human behavior expert Susan Constantine is with us. Also joining us, retired FBI Special Agent Bobby Chacon is here. Welcome to you both. Thank you so much. Susan, I'll begin with you. Taking a look at Stephan Stearns in that interview, just his mannerisms, the way he's communicating, what do you think? Does it give you a sense of credibility in what he was saying there?
You know, I was called to analyze him right when this was happening, because I'm right here in Orlando, Florida. And when I saw this, his performance, and that's what I really want to call it, because there was no authenticity in it whatsoever. And so I look at it in three parts, right? His face, his body, his words, and then the content doesn't make sense. And then I look for these indicators that are proven in science, embedded in the field, that are associated with deception. And he violated numerous of them in his language and his facial expressions his physiology with this cracked and kind of forced stress was all faked. It was not, it was a performance. So right off the bat, when I'm analyzing the language, the voice, the body, the face, all of it was disjointed. So that's when I told Fox 35, actually, when they were running this, I said, this dude, you need to pay attention to him. He should be looked at as a suspect because the story just didn't fit. I forget even the content. The non-behavioral behavior clues didn't match up to truthfulness. That's the bottom line, Vinnie. I called you Lenny.
Not a problem. Bobby Chacon, does his story make any sense to you?
Well, the first thing I'd want to know, it depends on what their normal practice was. Did he drop her off to school often? What was their practice to do? Now, most schools, and I know that one of her classmates said that never happened. Most schools now have circular driveways where the parent has to drop the kid off. There's custodians waiting there. There's teachers, and there's, you know, not janitors, but people that are going to take custody of the child right there at the school entrance. There's very delineated methods for dropping kids off at school. You don't drop a kid off four blocks from school. Now, that has happened on occasion where the child has been abducted between the drop-off point and the school, but that rarely happens anymore because schools are very careful about this. There's delineated methods and procedures for dropping children off. You know, the one thing that jumped out at me in his statement there was he said something like she was asleep the most of the way. Now, when a child gets breakfast and gets into the car and goes to school, they don't fall asleep in the car. They just got up, had breakfast, and now they're stimulated. He probably knew that he may get caught on video and that child's body may be slumping, so he better come up with a reason why that kid's body is slumped in the car. Oh, she was sleeping most of the way. Children don't do that on their way to school.
No, they do not. I want you to listen to more of his interview. Now, this is him being interviewed by police. It's audio. But it seems at one point, because police did a great job down there in tracking his vehicle and tracking all the movements using license plate readers and videos, etc. And it seems like they caught him in a little bit of a lie. Let's take a listen.
Make a U-turn, you go back to the McDonald's. But you said that she still doesn't want the McDonald's.
Still doesn't want it. She was just going to eat the Danishes that I had given her.
So you're going up here now, still northbound on Jonghyang Parkway. Mm-hmm. You make a left at Town Center this time.
Town Center, then make a right onto, yes.
And then you drop her off around like...
Dropped her off around halfway up the road there.
Okay. So keep in mind, all of this is still northbound.
Okay.
Right? You're still northbound on Jonghyang Parkway.
Northbound.
So why is your car seen going southbound at 8:10? I'll show you what location it is. McDonald's is over here. Mm-hmm. At 8:10, your car is seen going southbound at this intersection. So meaning going toward Kissimmee.
Mm-hmm. I had forgotten something. I had forgotten my gate clicker. I'm sorry. I forgot. I had gone back to the house real quick after we left because I forgot my gate clicker. I actually had to go through the front gate and use my parking pass to grab my clicker. So it was the wrong time. I'm sorry. Like I said, I was guesstimating these times. I'm not a morning person.
Bobby, what'd you think of that little exchange?
Well, it's one of those things where every time you catch them in a little bit of a lie, they try to explain it away just up to the point where they can get away with it, right? And then if there was another timeline problem, he'd have another explanation. He wouldn't remember all the stuff at once. He's going to piecemeal it, and this is constantly what we see with people that lie over and over again. They piecemeal it. They just explain away one lie, and then you present them with another lie, and they just come up with something to explain that one away. It's this process. It's maddening sometimes.
Yeah, sounds like he's drinking from the same water cooler as that other woman from Central Florida years ago. All right, let me ask you, Susan, what did you hear in his voice when he's confronted with evidence that they have of him going in an opposite direction, which contradicts the story he is trying to tell the officer?
Well, what you hear is what you don't hear, and that is you don't hear anything. So he is listening to what the officer is saying, And he is quiet. He doesn't rebuttal it. He doesn't deny it. Doesn't give you another alternative. He's waiting until the officer gives him more information. On the fly, he's trying to figure out another avenue. He uses this very polite, which is one of the deceptive indicators. They're either overly polite. He goes, "Oh, I'm sorry." Now, what does he have to be sorry for? And then all of a sudden he forgets. That's the other one. They forget all of a sudden. Now let me kind of reconstruct it again. So what he's doing is just like what your other guest was saying. He's constructing his story along the way. When he feels, which he doesn't feel, like he's convincing the investigator, when he doesn't feel like he's doing it, he tries to give you more information. So he gives you a lot of extraneous information that really is irrelevant. But for the most part, it was that he was completely silent because he was waiting to see what the officer was going to say and then reenact the scenario for him on the fly.
Bobby, what's that moment like when you're interrogating or interviewing someone and you've caught them in a lie?
You know, I mean, it happens all the time, and you handle it differently depending on the person and depending on how much other information you have. You let them hang themselves. Like if I were here, like if I was doing the first interview, I would have said, listen, think really carefully. Tell me the timeline of you departing the house and getting back to the house. So there would be no, oh, I forgot later on. No, I asked you to take your time and give me that timeline. Think about it. Think about it clearly so that later on, you lock them in so that later on when you find the lie, you find proof of the lie, it's much more difficult for them to kind of explain it away. Oh, I forgot. So you lock them in first. Then when you have them, and then you just start with you add up the lies, and then you say, look, come on, let's get truthful here.
All right, we've got more to cover in this story. Coming up next, when was Madeline Soto killed?
Our detectives have determined that Madeline was never dropped off on the morning of February 26th near her school. Our detectives have determined that Madeline was never dropped off on the morning of February 26th near her school. Instead, we believe she was already dead at the time and that Stephan Stearns moved her body in the early morning hours on that day.
Such an important part of all of this, that determination by investigators, and it was early in the investigation. They determined she was never dropped off because that's Stephan Stearns' story. And they're saying, no, she's not even alive. So I want to dig into the timeline so we have a better understanding of some of the alleged facts in this case that have been made public. We begin February 25th, 11 p.m. This is the night of her birthday party. Jenn, her mom, sends Stephan, her boyfriend, and Madeline, her 13-year-old daughter, out of the room into a bed by themselves. No, I'm not making this up. That's what she literally did. Madeline's mother sends her 13-year-old daughter and her boyfriend off to be together in another room in bed because she was tired. She had worked. February 26th, the next morning, this is when 7 to 7:15, Stearns claims that he and Madeline wake up. 7:30 to 7:45, Stephan Stearns claims they leave the house. However, at 7:35 a.m., Stearns is spotted at the apartment trash compactor throwing a white bag away. Madeline is visible in the front seat with her head slightly tilted. That bag that's being tossed, that's her backpack and her laptop. 7:50 a.m., Stearns is spotted driving away with Madeline fully slumped over in the car. 8 to 8:15 a.m., Jenn claims she is woken up by Stearns getting a dog leash. She also reports hearing someone in the kitchen, but doesn't know if it was Madeline. 8:19 a.m., Stearns is spotted re-entering the complex with Madeline slumped over. 8:31 a.m., Stearns is spotted leaving the complex with Madeline still slumped over. 9 a.m., that's when mom, Jenn, claims she gets out of bed. At 9:40 a.m., Stearns is allegedly spotted in a parking garage transferring a body from his front seat to the trunk. So the timing of all of this is extremely important. Brings me to my next question. Based upon what we know, what's been made public, when was Madeline Soto killed? Was she alive at any point inside the car? Or did it happen in the overnight hours? Bring back in our guest, Bobby Chacon, FBI, still with us. Joining us now in Orlando, Florida. She's been on the case since the very beginning. Investigative reporter with WFTV, Shannon Butler. Shannon, do we have any more information regarding time of death here?
Yeah, that was really difficult for investigators to really figure out. They did interview some other people that were inside the home the night after the birthday party and before he was seen with Madeline Soto inside the car. But trying to narrow down that exact moment or exact time has been very, very difficult to do because nobody saw what happened there, it seems, or at least people told investigators. They believed it did happen in those overnight hours, but they're just not sure at what point because there was nobody that said that they saw the body get moved from the apartment complex. And I always thought that was weird that nobody saw Madeline Soto leave the apartment and get to the car. There's that piece of time too that would help investigators if you knew what time that was, but they're really, really having a difficult time trying to figure that out. And my understanding is even the autopsy doesn't give them a clear indication.
Bobby Chacon, what are your thoughts about when she was killed and how you figure that out based upon what we know at this point? And what other things would you look at to try to get to the bottom of a pretty significant question?
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, the things we normally use, stomach contents and things like that, are not available to us because of the decomposition of the body. It was left out in the open, extreme to weather, subject to weather. Shannon was hit it right on the head. I mean, the key piece is getting her out of that house. If she would have walked to the car like any normal school day, and then it happened in the car, it's more plausible, but nobody saw her go into the car. My gut feeling in reviewing all of this stuff that you've covered is that she was murdered in the house because in the car there would be more of a struggle, more chance somebody to see them or see him, and the fact that the first time she's seen leaving in the car very early, she's already slumped over. So unless she was drugged, which I highly doubt, and there's no indication of that, the strangling took place. She was incapacitated at least when she first left that house, because the first time we see her, when he's dumping her backpack and her computer, she's already slumped over.
Yeah, Shannon, that's such a significant part here, and it's, the complex, there's the video camera that is right there by the dumpster. I mean, it's extremely obvious. It's on the pole right to the right of the dumpster there. And I am shocked that he didn't realize it or didn't think they were going to check that. But 7:35 is a significant time because there's no real proof of life at 7:35 in the morning.
No, and investigators believe at that point Madeline Soto had already been killed because he was dumping those items, and there would be no reason, right, to do that unless something bad had happened inside that house. All we can figure is right there by the front door of that townhome that there were no cameras right there, because we couldn't believe that nobody saw him carry her out. How did she get in that car? Not one neighbor saw anything or heard anything. We don't have that piece. We know what she looked like when she was sitting in the car. She was seatbelted in, she was leaning over, but we don't know what she looked like when she left the apartment. Did he throw her over his shoulder? Did he carry her out in something else? We don't know. There were no witnesses to tell us or investigators how she got out of that apartment or what happened in those few hours before that.
Bob, we have about 30 seconds here. There is one potential witness who's also in the house, Jenn Soto, but she's seemingly sleeping till 9, not hearing or seeing anything, according to the stuff that's been released publicly.
Yeah, it's hard for me to believe that she doesn't have more information relevant to this case. I hope they do get to the bottom of her involvement, but it's really hard to me to believe that she didn't know about the history of abuse here. You have some emails between him and his mom indicating that. Of course, that could be self-serving. They knew those emails were being monitored. But yeah, I find it hard to believe she doesn't have more relevant information in this case.
Yeah, a lot of unanswered questions still, but Stephan Stearns in custody, will be going to trial. Bobby Chacon, thank you so much. Shannon Butler continuing the great reporting. When we come back, we will, of course, keep digging for answers as the investigation continues. I'm Vinnie Politan as we continue our investigation into the tragic life of 13-year-old Madeline Soto. It's important to understand the nature of her relationship with her mother. Her parents were not together, so it was really up to her mom, Jenn Soto, to protect Madeline. Unfortunately, she didn't. Here's more of the story. 13-year-old Madeline Soto lived with her mom, Jenn Soto, and her on-again, off-again boyfriend, Stephan Stearns. After celebrating her 13th birthday, Madeline was reported missing. It took investigators 4 days until they found her dead on the side of the road close to 20 miles from home. Stephan Stearns has been charged with her murder and for sexually abusing Madeline for years. Prosecutors say they found evidence of this abuse on Stearns' phone. And now, while Stearns is locked up and waiting for his trials, attention has turned on Jenn Soto and what her role will be in the prosecution of Stephan Stearns. Okay, so Jenn Soto, she's the mom, right? Basically as a single mom, but she has this on-again, off-again, live-in boyfriend who's in her life, not in her life, who's accused of all of this. Now, when she first goes missing, Jenn publicly speaks, just like Stephan Stearns publicly spoke to WFTV. I want you to take a listen to what she says, because there's a lot of questions surrounding Jenn Soto.
We dropped her off at school, close to school. She wanted to walk the rest of the way. She was spotted walking by the church, by the middle school, on the cameras. They saw her hang out in the parking lot for a little bit and then get up and leave. They didn't see a vehicle or anything else. They just saw her walk away around 9 a.m., heading towards the school, but she never made it.
What was the last thing, I guess, the conversation that you two had, you and your daughter?
We spoke about her birthday party. She had a birthday party on Sunday. She had a great time. I couldn't make it because I was working, but she had an amazing time. She was so happy with all her gifts. I told her good night, and yeah, that was it. I wasn't the one who took her to school in the morning. That was my partner. But yeah, in my heart, I feel like somebody took her. This isn't like her to just pick up and run away, or just not go to school. I don't know what to think. She was last seen wearing a green hoodie, black shorts, white Crocs, a black JanSport backpack with gray hibiscus flowers on it. She got dropped off in the morning. We did not notice until after school pickup at 4 o'clock when I went to go pick her up, and she wasn't at school.
Now, the way she was answering questions and the way she was telling the story, she was parroting what Stephan Stearns was saying as well. But why is she doing that? And I think that was one of the reasons why there was some level of interest and suspicion concerning Jenn Soto. So that brings me to my next question, which is an extremely important one. Did Jenn Soto know? Did she know about the abuse? Did she know about the photos? Did she know what happened to her daughter? You bring in my special guest, investigative reporter with WFTV, Shannon Butler. Also with me, jury consultant and human behavior expert, Susan Constantine. Susan, I want you to tell me what you saw, what you heard as Jenn Soto, again, this is early on before her daughter is found when she's a missing child. What did you think of what she said and how she said it?
Well, there was a lot that was going on there. First of all, she's very fear-based. You see that in her facial expressions. And you also, I'm watching her eye movements. You know, when she's trying to recall events, they're not going up into recall. They're looking down. She's going into processing. So she's trying to think again on the fly. When she said that we dropped her off at school, then the next sentence was that he dropped her off. Right then, I ran that through voice stress analysis with Bob Crotty. Lying. So the point being is that when you're looking at her entire demeanor does not emulate this concern. I see fear. I know that fear can be fear that her daughter is missing, but the point is that she covered for him and lied right out of the gate. Automatically, that was a red flag, and she lost credibility. She shoulder shrugged. Her eye movements were not in the right directions when you're recalling and then processing. They were off. There was the constant shaking and tremoring, which is really odd because we generally don't see that. They're usually sad. They're distressed. I see a massive amount of fear in her expressions that just telling me, why is she fearful? And I just wrote a chapter in the book today, and it says, did Jenn Soto know? It was so interesting you just brought that up because I was diving right into that today.
It's a big part of all this. Shannon Butler, let me ask you about her level of cooperation with investigators, because it's not clear to me. She hasn't been very public since, she hasn't been public at all since her daughter was found, and I can understand all the things that come along with that incredible tragedy. I think we lost Shannon there for just a moment. Susan, let me play something else for you. This is Jenn Soto when she is approached by investigators after reporting her daughter missing.
What's her name?
Madeline. Madeline.
Madeline. Last name?
Soto. S-O-T-O.
S-O-T-O?
Yeah.
Date of birth?
February 22nd, 2011.
How tall is she?
5'1".
Weight?
110 pounds.
110, 112.
Hair color?
Blonde.
Blonde, like a dirty blonde.
Like a dirty blonde?
Yeah.
Okay. Eye color?
Blue.
Any other scars or anything like that? We should know.
Scars?
No.
Tattoo.
No.
You'd be surprised.
Okay, what are you seeing? And these are the moments, like the night that she's missing.
Right. And she's laughing, right? So the fact is that it's not so heavy that she doesn't break into that laughter. So sometimes people will do that, you know, when they're nervous or they're fearful. People will cry or laugh at a funeral. So that would be part of it, be a stressor. But when you see her rocking back and forth, and she's you don't hear any stress in her voice. You can tell that she's very cognizant. She listens to the question, it's answer, and question and answer. So she is very aware of the environment. What I see is a lot of stress that's right here in her forehead. What I don't see is the eyebrows coming up in concern and worry with horizontal lines. So again, it's incongruent. And the overall scene here where we see Stephan in the back, he's very quiet, he's got his arms folded, he's very guarded, and he's kind of filling in the blanks for her, but he's also very distracted, right? Because a lot of times when people are lying, they want to look busy. They want to take the attention away from, so he's busying himself in other things. And we saw the same thing when she went on air, when he was moving about the apartment and he was banging around the trash cans. If you remember, it's the same MO. He's doing the same thing. But when I'm looking at Jenn, does she really know? I have to tell you, I'm not really certain yet at this point. I do know that she was covering up for him. I know that she is feeling very anxious and nervous, and she's very suspicious when she's looking up at the investigator. I think that's who's talking with her. But she's got this massive fear response, which is really bizarre because we don't generally see that. So I have a lot of questions. And after running it through statement analysis and voice stress analysis, there's deception all around it. So it tells me she knows something. The other thing I want to share with you, when she said that she went in and she kissed her good night, I want to let you know that is a key that she was dead. Okay, there's things that maybe your viewers don't realize, but in statement analysis, there's key words. Like when she was sleeping, she was already dead. When she kissed her goodnight, she was already dead. When the phone was left behind, there was a reason why the phone was injected in the conversation, because that was linked to the crime or the reason for it happening. So there's all these clues. It's like a Sherlock moment where I'm putting the pieces together. It points right to the two of them. I think she knew that she was dead, and they were trying to figure out what they were going to do that next morning, because I think she died that night at her 13th birthday, and there was something on the phone that triggered it.
Now, there was another moment here that's described. I can't show it to you, but this is from one of the reports. And I was shown the contents of Stephan's Google Drive, where one folder appeared dedicated to Madeline, contained over 1,700 files. A majority of these photographs and videos showed Madeline in different sexual positions. Orange County detectives had previously shown Jenn photographs of Stephan's penis for identification purposes. Jenn did not want to believe Stephan were engaged in sexual activity. Jenn asked to see the image of Stephan and Madeline. I pulled out a printed picture from Stephan's Google Drive that showed Madeline with Stephan's penis in her mouth. Jenn said she didn't recognize anything in the picture, as if she was in denial. However, she became visibly upset. What do you think of that moment, the way it's described? Obviously, we don't see it yet.
I think there was a lot of stuff that was going on that she wasn't aware of. She may have been suspect to it. That is natural for them to deny, because, again, she's the mother. She placed Stephan in the same room, in the bedroom, alone with her. So the natural thing for the mothers to deny. But not for somebody that doesn't know that there's something odd or nefarious that is going on here. When I'm listening to or reading that police report, again, there was so much information in there that led me to believe that she knew, or even maybe have condoned, or maybe even participated in some sort of weird, creepy sort of way. We can't disregard that, because why? It happened too many times. And having 1,700 photos, you got to tell me she didn't know about that. I don't believe it for 1 minute.
All right, Susan Constantine, thank you so much. Still to come, will Jenn Soto be charged?
You see my daughter, just please bring her home. I just hope you're okay, Maddie. I hope you're safe. I hope you're not hurt. I just hope she's okay.
one of the most successful true crime TV shows ever.
This is crazy.
Now has a new home on America's original true crime obsession, 48 Hours on Court TV. Coming up next on Court TV. Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan Investigates. Weeknights, 9/8 Central. Only on Court TV.
This is not normal behavior. She's not the type that would just run off. We don't know where she could be, and we're scared. We just want her home.
We're desperate for any answers, anything that you can do to help. I'm here for it. Just please, if you see my daughter, just please bring her home. I just hope you're okay, Maddie. I hope you're safe. I hope you're not hurt. I just hope she's okay.
So that's at the moment that Madeline Soto is a missing child, a 13-year-old. And folks in the Orlando, Kissimmee area were all looking for her. She was found in St. Cloud, 20 miles from home, 4 days later, dead. Stephan Stearns has been charged with the murder, the live-in, on-again, off-again boyfriend of Madeline's mom, Jenn Soto. So Stephan Stearns is locked up, and he's been communicating with his family, in particular his mother. Why don't you take a listen as our producers read some of the email exchanges between Stephan Stearns and his mom.
You don't see the commissary and cannot order anything? I hope that gets resolved quickly. Do you remember your balance? Jail and prison are not meant to be comfortable. All part of the mental punishment, I guess. Stay positive. Talk with your attorneys. I keep thinking about how you would not ever rat out a friend. It really made me mad, and I felt like you valued them over us when you let them get away with stuff. Don't be doing that again. We all know was heavily involved in this, and I am disgusted that she is free and you are not, when this is not all your fault. You need to think about yourself more and her less. She sure isn't thinking of you and how she can help you right now. That whole family is willing to stay quiet and let you take the fall for everything. When you do that, you're hurting us too. Please, get out of your head over this and start talking with your attorneys. This stuff is serious, and you need to approach it as life and death, which it is. I think of the craziness lived through with various partners, not a stable life at all for a child. I do pray for and for you daily. I am thrilled that you are working out again and have a physical outlet for the stress. I hope you get your coffee and candy straightened out quickly. So far, I haven't seen a cancellation on Congo. Let us know as stuff filters down to you through the system. This origami book is just paperback, no paper, just patterns if I read it right. Well, I'm off to feed the curly ones now. Love, hugs, and prayers, now and every day and night. Mom.
So Stephan Stearns' mom appears to be implicating Jenn Soto in all of this. Now, I think they know this stuff is being monitored, the communications back and forth, but police never have. They've never named her as a suspect, and they've never charged her or arrested her or anything else. So that brings me to my next question, which is about Jenn Soto. And will Jenn Soto be charged? So far, the only one implicating her seems to be Stephan Stearns' mother in some jailhouse emails. Let me bring in my special guest to get to the bottom of this. Florida-based criminal defense attorney, also represented victims from the Parkland school shooting. Alex Ariaza is with us. Alex, great to see you. What are your thoughts here? Are these just the words of a convicted killer's mother trying to throw police off the trail here? Or do you think Jenn Soto could be charged in this?
Vinnie, do you, years ago, I think it was around 94, that her name was Susan Smith. This reminded me a lot how she's talking into the camera. And so you can tell she's lying. And always the problem that you're going to have here is really, are the prosecutors going to push the envelope on this and go after her? Unfortunately, sometimes prosecutors are just happy putting the case away. But I've seen before where the prosecutors keep going and keep going. Should she be charged? This is almost like the same situations. All the red flags are there, like that Susan Smith case. I think they should handle it like they handled that case. They didn't let go of her. They have enough. If they have enough to charge him, there's enough to charge her.
Now, let's go by the presumption that she doesn't get charged. Then what does her role in all this become? A crucial witness for the prosecution? Does she become the focus of the defense? The person who Stephan Stearns then turns around and points the finger at?
That's as a defense attorney, that's the first person I would look at, and I would take, before she got any more creative that she's getting and changing the story, I would take a deposition right away. And I would take a video deposition so you can see all those same expressions that you're showing on TV now. I mean, you can actually tell that there's something wrong there, that she's making it up.
I want to take a look at...
Mothers have...
Go ahead.
If you look how she's acting, one thing you can really see about mothers across ethnicity, across all lines, the mothers have this ferocious instinct when a kid disappears to look after them. This isn't even a good acting job. You can tell something's wrong.
I want to...
And a lot of times what happens is and I've seen over 30 years, people want to think that, why would a mother ever do something like... Mothers throw their children in harm's way all the time. You see it all the time in court. So her doing that is not a big surprise.
And in this case, there's an admission that she sent the two of them to their own bedroom. And that's one of the issues here people are having a real difficult time with. I want to put something else up real quickly just so the folks at home know about this. This is from an interview with Madeline's best friend. Madeline told her that she didn't get along with her mom. Madeline's friend had heard from another friend that Madeline's mom told her she was going to kick her out of the house and disown her when she turned 18 or 19. Again, this is coming from one of Madeline's friends who's young as well. But at this point, investigators have not named her as a suspect. She has not been charged. And we are waiting for a final answer on all of that. A big thank you to Alex Ariaza for joining us. Thank you so much, Alex. Appreciate your time and your insight. Now, Madeline Soto, somehow, some way, in those photos from that birthday party, was able to smile despite all that she had gone through, all the suffering, a stolen childhood, because the allegations of sexual abuse go back to when she's 8 years old. This man who's in her life, out of her life, unreal that she was able to stand there and put a smile out on her last day on this earth. She deserved more, and now all that she can get is the truth to come out in court and someone to be held responsible. I'm Vinnie Politan. We'll keep digging for answers as the investigation continues.